Welcome to a demo of trying GitHub Copilot, the AI tool for software testing purposes. You can see that the Copilot extension is installed and ready to go due to the small icon here, which shows a status menu, says the status is ready. So before we go into testing, let me illustrate what this application is about. It's a very simple application just to illustrate how to use it for testing. So we have like a simple test wrapper and a sample demo application. So all this is usually created as a starter pack by Spring Initializer. This entire directory structure along with the demo application is created. And our application is very simple. So we have a home page which says welcome to CS3300, and we have another hello endpoint or hello page. That the intent of that is to greet the user with hello user, and if nothing else is provided, we assume it is greeting the class, so it says hello CS3300. Let me illustrate that quickly by running the actual website. It runs at port 8080 by default, so here we go. The home page is welcome CS3300, and by default, we are greeting the entire class saying hello CS3300. However, if we enter a name, we are greeting the user who visited the page. Essentially, we do it for one more user, and here we go. That's how the application works. Now let's try to use Copilot inline to write a unit test. And I'm calling the unit test flow controller tests as per the naming convention adopted in this package. So note that usually chat works better because this has lesser context. So I'm going to go ahead and say Spring Boot test. Let's see what it fills up with. So, all right, in this case, it seems to be doing pretty well. But I don't want just to check the strings. I want to hit the endpoints and check it. So I'm going to add and market we see here. And let's figure out if it knows what to do now. I mean, I'm going to say, you know, it has figured out that I want a market PC object instead. Let's continue. And it looks like it has generated the tests for us. Let's continue and see if there's any more. Okay. I don't think it is. I don't think this test is necessary, and it is necessarily complicating things. But let's continue on and try to resolve the import errors. I think most of them look like import errors. So first I'll run it on the imports and see what missing things Copilot can automatically fill. Okay, still going. There seems to be an exception missing, so okay. Instead of try catch, I guess we can just leave it at throwing an exception, I guess. So let's fix this one manually. So yeah, essentially throw exceptions all around. And let's run the suit. So now you can see all the tests are passing, and you can even view them up here in the Test Explorer in Visual Studio. That shows you all the tests are passing and how long each one took. So for some reason, this test took longer than expected, but I think that's okay. And I think it has done a pretty good job of covering the endpoints and possible edge cases here. You see, you have the home page, you have a test for the hello by default, hello name equals world. And this is a good one, even I didn't think of, which is an edge case with an empty name. And that seems to work as well. So overall, I feel it has done a great job on the unit tests, except fixing the import errors, of course. So you have to be mindful of those things. Now let's try it on an integration test. So I'm gonna go with the same thing. I'm gonna have a Spring Boot test. This time hitting an actual random port. This time I'm going to use a REST template. Let's see if it can figure that out. Oh, it has already figured out what I'm going to go for, which is the REST template. That's pretty impressive. It's coming up with the tests already. This is pretty impressive. Let's see if it can resolve some of the imports on its own. Well, that's nice. Having import to suggest. Now, looks like we still have to fix this one import error. So let's give it a go. You can actually see some of the outputs as it is running the tests in the terminal. And it looks like all the integration tests have passed as well. So it has done a pretty impressive job, even with the integration tests. Of course, it did not repeat the edge case of an empty name, and but the difference is this time it uses an actual REST template to make the requests. I do not like assert that. And if you notice one thing, it is also not checking if we got the proper API response before it is directly going and checking for the string. That could be a subtle bug that could crash the test suite. So we'll see if we've gotten, we convert it to the response. We'll see if it manages to figure that out. So set that. Okay. So it has figured out that we are checking for the status code as well. But here's another problem. It has used a deprecated method, which you can clearly see if you can use an ID, but otherwise you wouldn't really know. So let's see if it can fix the deprecation error. So I'm gonna discard this simply because it is incorrect. And let's ask it to try again. Okay, well, we would do this, but there's a problem here. Well, I'll let you observe the problem and let me do the same thing across. So I would say I'll use the inline indent and say convert to a response entity and check for the status row first before the contents of the body. So I let it apply it wherever. So for some reason, it is applying only to certain sections of the code, which I find weird. Let's put it over here again and go with the same thing. Let's entity and check for status code before contents of the body. Okay, and now we have, after the import error has resolved, has it managed to resolve this? There's still a mismatch. Let's see if it can fix it. Yep. Now I think it has done a good job. It has added the test to check for the status as well. Let's try running it once again. So voila. Here you find a very subtle bug that if you don't know what this API is doing, you will most likely get caught in it. Fortunately for us, this one's easy to fix, but the number of subtle bugs like this can add up over time. So what happens here is that get status code returns like the entire object of 200 okay, but we were checking just for 200. And instead, this must be replaced with CTP status.okay. I'm curious though, because when it modified things here, it modified it correctly, but when I modify it in a single line format, it doesn't seem to catch on. So, anyways, we made that fix. That was the only test failing. Let's run it again. And by the way, you can view all this in the test explorer as it goes. Running, and yeah, now you can see all the tests are passing and it has fixed all the errors. So you do have to keep in mind that you have to know some of the concepts and what it's checking, and there are some edge cases it's gonna miss here and there, but overall I feel it has done a pretty good job with the integration tests as well, because we have added the status code tests ourselves, but with the body, this is pretty much what one would do even by themselves in an industry standard environment. So I think it has done a pretty good job. Thanks for watching.